So a new trailer for a Warbond Python Commandos just dropped. It seems like Arrowhead broke the case that said, break this case in case the game is dying. Here's all the items people were asking for. And we are getting a part 2 to Viper Commandos, filled with items that people have been asking for, such as an underbarrel grenade launcher on an assault rifle, a minigun, and even a legally distinct chainsword. So some of the devs were answering questions in the Discord, as well as a message from Pilestat about the minigun. And we did also notice a weird little teaser in the trailer we'll be looking at, which might hint at the next content or a new biome or something. So first up is just the Warbond page itself, which has 14 total items on it, 17 if you count each of the camos as separate, 2 armor sets, 2 helmets, 2 capes, a primary weapon, 2 support weapons, a backpack, 2 player banners, a push-up emote, and the Python Commando player title. First, let's talk about the ARGL-21, which is an 8mm assault rifle with a 40mm high explosive grenade ammo toggle. Now, current weapons in the game that use 8mm rounds is the Adjudicator, the Tenderizer, and the Halo assault rifle. They all use an 8mm round. And the community manager, Mitchimus, said that the new assault rifle will be light penetrating. He also said the damage on it is on par with the Adjudicator, lower than the Tenderizer, and higher than the MA5C. So on par with the Adjudicator is 95 damage. Now, I looked at the picture of the ARGL and I just put it next to the Tenderizer. The mag size on this assault rifle does actually look pretty small. It looks similar to the Tenderizer. I believe the Tenderizer has 35 rounds in it, so I imagine this assault rifle will have like 30 or 40 rounds total. Now, Mitchimus said that the grenade launcher attachment has the same armor pen as the grenade pistol, which is medium armor piercing. And I clarified asking about the damage because the grenade pistol actually has 250 projectile damage on top of the 400 explosive damage, whereas the regular grenade launcher support weapon doesn't have that projectile damage. And this is the difference in being able to one-shot a hive guard or not. Now, Mitch said the damage was the same, and he also happened to throw out there that it has 4 rounds total, 3 spare plus 1 in the chamber, and hopefully a resupply gives us 3 rounds back, so it'll max it out if you have your 1 loaded. In terms of ammo economy, I think this is probably fine with your 4 normal grenades and also the underbarrel. You can like resupply once and take out a heavy bug nest. And again, hopefully this is actually the grenade pistol damage rather than the grenade launcher damage, because again, that difference is like for a hive guard. You know, I imagine with a light pen AR with an underbarrel grenade, it would mean I could shoot like a few warriors, a hunter or 2, a few scavengers, and then for the medium pen hive guard, I can switch to the grenade attachment and one tap a hive guard. But if it does regular grenade launcher damage, it won't be able to do that. I'll have to toggle back to the assault rifle and then put a few more bullets in it. Okay, so let's move on to the Maxigun. It is medium armor pen. Everybody wants to know what armor pen it is. Now, I do think that the ultimate power fantasy here would be a heavy armor penetrating minigun, but if I'm being honest, they would probably never do that, and it's all right. I'm fine with it being medium pen because at least it's not light pen. It could definitely be worse. At least it's medium pen. It's kind of like if you just ripped off the arm of the Patriot exosuit and attached it to a backpack. Someone asked if it was reloadable or it was an expendable gun, and Mitch, I'm sorry, you answered this in a weird way, Mitch. He said it's kind of an expendable after you use all of the ammo, as in there's no physical reload to it. Now, to clarify, I don't think he meant it was an expendable weapon at all. I asked for clarification to see if you can resupply the backpack, and he said yes, you can. So I'm assuming it just has no reload animation. As long as you have ammo in your backpack, which can be resupplied, there's no downtime. Just plop yourself next to a resupply and just keep shooting. And as long as you keep resupplying, you can just keep going. No reload necessary. Now, we also have an old message, over a year old message from Pilestat about what was going into the design of this. So this was in response to a message asking for a minigun, I'm pretty sure. He said there are things we want to do before that. Miniguns as a carried weapon are notoriously problematic. You can see this in every video of people hip firing one. They are more or less thrown backwards by the insane recoil. The way we would solve this is to have players be moved backwards unless they take up a steady firing position. This would probably also apply to the HMG, which was probably added prematurely. In addition, the backpack magazine is needed, and unfortunately the game currently doesn't support a weapon occupying 2 slots, which will have to be resolved before a minigun can be added, and they resolved it. After all that is done, a 5.5mm minigun will be ready to be deployed. Now, first of all, a 5.5mm, I believe, are the Liberator rounds. Now, it's medium pen. So maybe it'll just be the lib-pen damage. Maybe it'll be higher. Maybe it'll be closer to something like the Adjudicator. But with that being said, the Liberator variants are the guns in the game that use 5.5 millimeter. Now, I mainly brought up this message because he did mention that players would be moved backwards unless they take up a steady firing position, and I have a freeze frame in the trailer where it kind of looks like the Helldiver's doing just that. The Helldiver does seem to have sort of a weird stance. His knee is kind of poking out, like he's not standing up straight, but he's also not crouching. So I would imagine that there is probably going to be a movement penalty here. I mean, Pilestat himself said that there would be, but hopefully it's not that bad and it doesn't feel clunky when we play it in game. We'll just have to wait and see. So next up, let's talk about the legally distinct chainsword. Okay, I'll be real. This kind of just looks like a regular chainsaw. The blog post for the Warbond said it can cut down trees, which I believe that this chainsaw, I believe that means it'll have at least a little bit of demolition. I am pretty sure this implies that you should actually be able to break the metal door, hiding super credits behind it. I forget the exact demo necessary to break a tree in the game, but I'm pretty sure you need at least 20, which I believe is what the metal door is. Somebody fact check me in the comment, but that's my speculation. It'll be able to break the metal door. And the only thing everybody wants to know is, can we break a charger leg? Now, they answered this in the Discord. They said it starts out at medium pen, but it goes over time as you grind against the enemy. And I really just have to say, this sounds like a really clunky mechanic. That I get it. It's realistic. The chainsaw is grinding, so I guess it gets higher armor pen as it grinds more. But I don't know why they would add this to a melee weapon, which has so many other downsides in game. And combine this with the fact that this is a support weapon rather than a primary weapon. This is the least enticing thing in this Warbond, in my opinion. Again, melee feels super clunky as it is. Enemies tend to hit you through melee hits already, and trying to kill a charger or a Hulk might just be really annoying because you have to wait for it to grind up to a higher armor pen. Now, of course, that won't stop me from doing it when the Warbond drops, but I'm just saying in terms of like viability and how fun it will be to do that, like I might just do it a couple times for a video and then might shelf it and not use it again. I also think they really shouldn't make any melee support weapons unless it's like something insane, like a freaking gravity hammer with like a giant AoE splash on it. Like, I don't understand the logic behind making a melee weapon that is naturally single target a support weapon. Like, we have primary weapons like the Torture, which can kill a charger on its own, and it can also kill a giant horde of bugs. And I don't see how this weapon would be any... it's not going to be better than a Torture, and it's, if anything, it's going to be more dangerous because you have to get within even closer range to enemies to be able to use this. Now, we also noticed in the trailer that you had to pull the chain when you equipped this, kind of like lighting the torch on the flamethrower before you shoot it. And again, this is a really cool piece of attention to detail. I do enjoy when the devs do this with some of the different weapons, but like, again, on a melee weapon, it just feels like there's going to be multiple clunky things and that this will need some quality of life upgrades. I think the biggest one is bringing it down to a primary slot, because if I could use a real support weapon and then have fun with a chainsaw primary and then equip like a Talon as my sidearm so I can swap to that, or a Bushwhacker even, or something like that to sort of deal with some of the mobs that get really close to me. I really can't lie to you guys when I say that this just looks like it has a lot of downsides, and unnecessary ones at that, for this class of weapon. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. We'll have to wait and see on release day. I will absolutely try it out. I will try to push it to the limits, and I'm sure a lot of other people will as well. But yeah, so now for the hot dog, a flamethrower on a guard dog. And quite simply, they said the hot dog is the same stats as the Torture. Honestly, I think this backpack will be really strong. Now, the main downside of the flamethrower and the Torture is that you have to hold it while enemies are advancing on you, and they often light you on fire. And if you put that on a backpack and I don't have to hold it anymore, that kind of eliminates the whole downside. You can sort of kite enemies and run backwards while they're coming towards you while your Torture is melting them. I do think this will just flat out be a strong guard dog. Really, it just depends how much mag size it will have before it has to reload. That'll be the only limiting factor, I think. Now, I also don't think this will be a team killing menace at all when you compare it to like the K9. You know, if you accidentally light your teammate on fire, I'm sure it will kill some of them. But when you get lit on fire in this game, you have a chance to dive and put it out or pop a stim. And compared compare this to the K9. If your teammate's K9 zaps you, you're dead. If your teammate's Liberator Guard Dog gets a couple headshots on you, you're just dead. You have no chance to react to it. So honestly, this looks like one of the better items in the Warbond, and it will probably be best paired with the gas spear gun. Now, finally, we have the armor set, which says it has ragdoll and stagger resistance. I just got a question. What the hell does resistance mean? This one's given me flashbacks to when Unflinching came out, because that was like stagger resistance sometimes. And I'm wondering if this is going to be like a 50% chance to not get ragdolled or something. Honestly, if it was a 50% chance to not get ragdolled, it might even still end up being good anyway, because it just gets rid of like half the time you get ragdolled within game. Now, I also wonder, maybe resistance means like a regular Devastator rocket won't ragdoll you. That's like a small rocket, but like if a cannon turret shoots near you, that's a big ragdoll. So maybe that will still ragdoll you, or maybe they're just lying in the blog post and it's complete ragdoll immunity. That would be insane. And this is something we'll just have to wait and try in game. I think any of the options means it'll be a decent armor set, and if I feel that it performs well, this is an armor set I might never take off. Now, I have seen some criticism that they are selling another band-aid to a problem in a Warbond, but I gotta say, I don't really look at it. I don't look at this armor set this way, at least this time. Like, remember the patch when they made bleed do 10 times more damage and you basically just died if you bled in light armor? Then the same patch, they dropped anti-bleed armor. That was a blatant band-aid to a problem. They created that patch, but it would be insane if when this Warbond dropped, they made ragdoll even worse somehow. Then I would flip sides immediately. But ultimately, ragdoll is like a core mechanic to the game. I do think they should improve it a bit regardless of this armor set. I think if there were more anti-ragdoll options, like some of the defensive backpacks, like for example, make it so the shield backpack doesn't ragdoll you anymore. Make it so you can hold a ballistic shield and brace a rocket, or the directional shield. Just add more ragdoll immunity to those backpacks. That way we just have more options, and then it doesn't, you know, and then people won't say that this is a band-aid solution. And also some of the quality of life things, like make it so you don't slide so much when you get ragdolled, you know, you won't get ragdolled so often if you're behind cover, and get rid of the frickin' fire hydrant ragdolling me, okay? So I don't view this as a band-aid armor, because like when they made the game 2 years ago, did they have any idea they would add this as an armor set like a year and 9 months later? It's not the same as like the bleed armor comparison I brought up, but I do see how people made the comparison, and I do think ragdoll could get improved a bit more. Okay, so the last thing with this is we got this weird shot of like these Mayan ruin looking biome, and there are voteless in the background. And you might think this is a stretch, but bear with me, because first of all, this doesn't look like anything that exists in Helldivers. We don't have giant like stone. It looks like one of those big stone circle doors in like some Mayan ruins. Now, shout out to Fobhopper. He's the one who pointed this out to me in Discord, but he pointed out that the planet Zay-Rugosia has a point of interest on it that is ancient illuminate ruins. Hidden deep within the isolated lowlands of Zay-Rugosia lie the long buried remnants of the ancient illuminate empire. Their once radiant architecture now reduced to silent monoliths and fractured spires. Teams from the Ministry of Science labor to unearth and interpret these spectral halls, their instruments flickering with readings of anomalous energy signatures eerily resonant with those observed around the Meridian Singularity. Whispers among the excavation crews speak of faint lights that shimmer between the stones at dusk, echoes perhaps with the Illuminates' lost mastery over the unseen autocratic forces that once bound their illegitimate empire together. So this teaser, it looks like old ruins, and we did have this set up on at least Zay-Rugosia. I believe there are a few other planets that kind of mention old ruins like this. And I mean, this seems like maybe what's happening on December 2nd. So maybe squids are on the menu again. Hopefully new enemies come alongside of it. We will have to wait and see. More than anything, hopefully some performance fixes. I would really like them to just say, hey, we heard that Helldivers is hard locking computers. We either have a fix for it or we don't. It would be pretty awesome if the devs could just acknowledge that. But with that being said, I'll still be on Helldivers next week, so be sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.